coming. And thank you, students, for coming back or sticking around, faculty for sticking around. I know it's the end of a long day. But it's still important to mark this important celebration. I don't think I need to introduce myself. I think you all know who I am. But I do want to say that I'm thrilled that you're here to share in this hybrid celebration of our 10-year anniversary. I think it's only fitting, and then I actually heard Amy say this earlier, it's only fitting that a hybrid program should have a hybrid celebration, right? We're so honored to have each of you here. Those of us that are joining us virtually, as well as you that are here on campus. This is a gathering that includes alumni, current students, original faculty, current faculty, adjuncts, staff, and the South College administration. And we're so happy to have so many of the administration here today. We're all here to celebrate an innovative hybrid accelerated DPT program that launched 10 years ago this month. This milestone marks 10 years of growth and success of a program that many felt would not last, a model that went against the way DPT education has always been done. I think it's only fitting that we begin the evening by acknowledging the original faculty who bravely joined the South College team. Whether they realize it or not at the time, they were pioneers, disrupting the status quo and creating a lasting change in how DPT education is delivered. So I'll run through who the founding faculty were. Dr. Mike Walker, who's here present, was the program director. Dr. Alex Kozlinski, Dr. Jeannie Smith, who I believe is with us on Zoom. Dr. Shane Copenhaver, Dr. Craig Fox, Dr. Tim Flynn, who, as you know, will be speaking in a moment. Dr. Paul Miller, Dr. Hannah Norton, who I am happy to say was in the original faculty and is still with us in the current faculty. I think she should get some sort of award. Dr. Mark Shepard, Dr. Tiffany Schubert, Dr. Jason Rogadero, as well as they had a team of adjunct faculty and staff working alongside of them through that process. I think we also need to acknowledge all the students who've chosen South College DPT, but most especially those who enrolled in our first or second cohort. You really took a chance on us. We were not yet accredited program. So thanks for taking the chance on us. I'm really proud to say that our students are truly the center of our program. And I'm grateful to all of the students, past, current, and future, for choosing our program. You'll hear much more about our program's journey tonight from Dr. Mike Walker, as I said, the founding program director. Dr. Walker led in the development of this innovative model, along with Dr. John Childs and the team of folks from Evidence in Motion. We'll also hear what I know will be an inspiring keynote address from the faculty, from one of the original faculty member, Dr. Tim Flynn. But first, I would like to acknowledge our administrators that are in the room, Dr. Hall, Dr. Adams, and I would also like to introduce President Neil Heatherly. Neil is our campus president for South College Knoxville. President Heatherly, I would like to personally thank you on behalf of our program for the tremendous support that you provide us and for your continued advocacy for our program. Thank you for joining us to celebrate tonight. I'll turn over the podium to you.
Thank you, Dr. Seal. It's congratulations to you. I'm so glad you're our program director, and congratulations to the entire team. Really two accomplishments, not only the 10-year anniversary, but the 1,000 graduates as well. I'm sure that'll be mentioned later as well. So two great milestones to be very proud of. I'm excited to be here tonight and really welcome all of you here, whether joining us virtually or in person. On behalf of Chancellor South and Dr. Hall, Brad Adams, Dr. Melody Yerk, our academic dean, Mr. Ron Hall, the entire team, we want to extend our heartfelt gratitude to really everyone, our founding and current faculty and program leadership, certainly our students who entrust us with your education, to the thousands of clinical sites and partners across the country who have partnered with us to really take that didactic education and put it in motion in the clinical setting. And really to all who shared the dream, the vision, was talking to Dr. Hall earlier, of first creating and then delivering effectively a hybrid accelerated program. And you've done that extraordinarily well. We're very proud of that. The impact has been remarkable, not only for our students, for our graduates, for the patients they care for the communities they serve, but really also for South College itself. The hybrid nature of this program has really elevated our brand across the entire nation, and we're very grateful for that. Tonight, we celebrate you, we honor you, and thank you for all that you've done to build this program. And with great pride and excitement, we look to the future with incredible confidence. So thank you again. Well done.
Thank you so much, President Heatherly. And now I have the honor to introduce a member of the founding faculty, Dr. Tim Flynn. Dr. Flynn retired from our program in 2024 after a long and distinguished career in DPT academia. His accomplishments and his accolades are too many to mention. We would be here way too long. So I'll cut to the chase. Dr. Flynn, we appreciate you for joining us in this hybrid celebration, and we look forward to your words and your wisdom.
Thank you. We began this journey over 10 years ago, and also of our really faculty lounge that I believe a plaque is there. It's called Barley's, and where many of the offsite faculty and student adventures happened. But I did want to read you something that we received actually in October of 2014. So please bear with me. This was sent to the Commission on Accreditation in Physical Therapy Education, October 2014. I've received the curriculum of the proposed DPT program at South College. A very large component of the program is offered online. Furthermore, the program proposes to graduate students eligible for licensure after just 24 months. Since most DPT programs are now at 3 academic years, I find this proposal to be both alarming and clearly a step backward. I urge the Commission to require this program to plan a curriculum that adheres to the current standard of 3 academic years. Signed, the Honorable James Gordon, Professor and Associate Dean, University of Southern California. So that's what we had to begin with. And like they often say, first they ignore you, then they clearly criticize you. Then everybody now is claiming it's their ideas. We see these 2-year programs, all across the nation. But it started here, and I think people need to understand that and understand that, people who say it cannot be done should not interrupt those who are actually doing it. And also know that, success is really the sum of small efforts repeated day in and day out. So that has been the success, and that has been the history of South College over the last 10 years. But really, enough about the past. I tend not to dwell in the past because that's not what we are, and that's not what physical therapists are, and that's clearly not what South College is. And what is our future? Well, our future is actually happening now, and our future is never in greater need of you students that are there now. Because as you've heard me say many times, our medical and agricultural industries are a totally bankrupt system that has created an epidemic of pain, obesity, mental illness, and chronic disease. Even the fact that half of all Americans are on 5 different drugs, an average of 5 different drugs on 50% of our population, where 1 in 3 of our Medicare patients have been given an opioid prescription. This is in this decade. With what we know, we're still seeing these types of rates. And if it comes to falling, when it comes to fall, the number of falls over the last 2 decades, the percentage of falls have increased over 25% in our older adults. And at the same point, the death rate due to falls has increased in the same level. And oh, by the way, over 94% of our older adults that fall happen to be on a fall increasing drug, a drug that actually has a side effect, which includes balance and fall deficits. And we think that that's not a big deal. Well, guess what? Over 700,000 hospitalizations are associated with unintentional falls. In fact, unintentional falls account for 91% of injury-related hospitalizations. followed by a very distant second, that of motor vehicle crashes. They come in at 6%. So falls are 91% and motor vehicle crashes are 6%. But it gets worse. We spend somewhere between $5.5 to $635 billion. That's a B, billion dollars, more than Doge has saved. Anyway, $635 billion annually on pain management. That includes both direct and indirect costs due to chronic pain. Over 36% of our older adults suffer from chronic pain, those 65 and over 36%. And well, how do we go about treating these things? Well, we know that when it comes to the most common things patients come to a provider for is musculoskeletal aches and pains. In fact, orthopedic procedures, believe it or not, randomized controlled trials have shown there's similar outcomes to non-operative care when it comes to ACL reconstructions, meniscectomies, rotator cuff tears, subacromial decompression, lumbar spinal decompression, all these procedures that you see in and out, day in, day out in our communities. And frankly, they have similar outcomes to non-operative care, yet they continue to go on. And why do I get so darn fired up about orthopedic surgeries that can be appropriate for a small subset of patients, but are being utilized at rates beyond the pale? Why I care about it is because it is the number one condition that people go in and have surgery for. Orthopedic conditions, again, the number one reason for surgery. And yet, what a study in Lancet showed just a couple of years ago, if you actually look at these patients coming in for orthopedic surgery, let's focus on our older adults, 65 and older, and they actually do MRIs pre and post surgery. 1 in 14, let me repeat that number, 1 in 14 of those patients have a covert stroke after that surgery, 1 in 14. And if they follow them out to 1 year, they have a much greater association with cognitive decline. These surgeries are not benign. And yet that's not on the form that says you have a 1 in 14 chance of suffering a stroke following the surgery. Even if we don't follow that, there's another paper just published year before last in JAMA that showed following older adults after surgery. And what did they find? They found that particularly among those that have, their difficulty coming out of anesthesia. I know all of you that have been out in the clinic now and have been on the floors and have seen those patients often said, yeah, they're a little delirious or they're a little fuzzy. They're not coming out of anesthesia well. Well, that is actually called delirium. And when we follow those patients, those that have that in that first 24 hours, they have dramatically decreased cognitive performance at 1 year, 2 year, 4 years, and 6 years. They essentially have suffered a stroke and are now having cognitive decline that is higher rates than those without. Of course, we also have our obesity epidemic, which continues to rage, which truly is not it's an obesity epidemic fueled by the fact that we have no real food system anymore. We have a torched earth that can no longer grow high quality fruits and vegetables in our country, and we continue to spread pesticides at alarming rates that go into our Mississippi River Delta, which is called the cancer highway of the United States of America. We are what we eat, and we are responsible for educating our patients. But it goes beyond what I'm talking about in the physical and the cancer world. It is this epidemic of mental health. And we now know mental health and this idea of mental health disorder being a quote, brain disease. Well, in fact, we know it's actually an energy problem. It is a mitochondrial disease. The recent high quality data is showing that the majority of mental health disorders are really metabolic diseases of the brain, where essentially the mitochondria, starved for normal quality nutrition, being fed plastics and other things, trying to continue to eat to get the nutrients they need, become dysfunctional. And therein comes our increasing mental health disorders. I say the medical model no longer represents us in physical therapy. It is not who we are. It is not where we're going. And we at South College, I believe, have always known that. And we've started in that mindset and model that health starts with each and every one of us personally and individually first. And by doing that, we can be leaders and transform those people that we're so honored to be able to serve. Each of you are in a new era. I grew up in an era where, it wasn't, you couldn't just order blood work or imaging or whatnot. We had to work and fight for those pathways. Now your patients can order their own blood work. They don't even need you. What they do need is your knowledge and understanding that they should order the right type of blood work, the blood work that actually looks and sees how is their metabolic system, how is their inflammatory system, are they indeed eating things that are making them healthy or making them sick? And that is in your skill set, and it is within your area of practice. We are movement specialists that are focused on looking and at the energy systems that produce our movement, which includes our metabolic and mitochondrial systems. We now have tools that we can now put patches on ourselves and measure our blood glucose. We can actually follow inside what's happening both to our gut microbiome, into our blood, into our liver, kidney, etc. And it does not take rocket science to understand and know how to use these tools. It's within your skill set, and you need to do it personally, and you need to be that person that is guiding and coaching every one of those patients you're fortunate enough to work with. This I believe physical therapist is a health professional who has an unwavering belief in the human spirit to overcome all obstacles. Physical therapists, we use physical, neurological, psychological, behavioral, nutritional, and other non-pharmacological means to optimize movement, restore energy balance, and thereby create vibrant health from cradle to grave. And I'll leave you with this. A great quote has never been more well stated, I think. As we look here at just the sheer magnitude of the problems that we need to overcome when it comes to our food, medical, health systems, it always seems impossible until it's done. And just like 10 years ago, at times it seems impossible. Now it's just 10 years in the rearview mirror. So to each and every one of you, let's keep being the change. And I look forward to our next era of disruption. Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Flynn, for all your contributions to our program. I would say that your contributions definitely live on through the faculty and the students that you've so deeply impacted here and at many other places. So thank you for those words. Now I'd like to introduce Dr. Mike Walker, the founding program director of the South College CPT, and now the chief academic officer at Evidence in Motion. Dr. Walker was an instrumental leader in the development of the hybrid accelerated model, and now works at EIM to develop and support other hybrid accelerated programs throughout the country, including ours. And I look forward to having you share your reflections and your memories and insights with us. Thanks.
Wow, I get set up. I got to follow Tim. I don't have near that much passion. I'm too old for that, actually. Yeah, this is so crazy being back here after 10 years. So many memories flooding back as I'm getting off the plane in Knoxville Airport, Alcoa, I guess it is. So many memories as I'm driving onto campus here. Yeah, seeing faces that I haven't seen in a long time. So it's just fantastic. But appreciate your words, Dr. Seal. You kind of talked about a little bit about taking chances. That's really what I'm going to talk to you about. First of all, I have bad news and good news. I have 5 pages I got to get through. The good news is I'm 64 this year and it's large print edition, so, and it's double spaced. You're good, you're good. Anyway, it's, and I gotta put my reading glasses on, see? Sucks getting old. No, it's truly an honor to be here to celebrate this incredible milestone for South College. 10 years of the DPT program here in Knoxville. Again, it's just amazing how quickly time has flown. But as I think back to 2015, one of the things that kind of came back to my memory there, I recall walking up to the podium for our first ever orientation with students, and I'm asking myself, man, this is really happening? Well, yeah, it did happen, obviously. But let's face it, let's be honest, it was a bold chance. It was a bold idea that we had back in that time. Think about it now. A 2-year hybrid accelerated DPT program, built from scratch. Something that the accreditors, and as you just heard, everybody, just about everybody in PT education said couldn't and shouldn't be done. You think about it, it's almost like, it's more like a dare than it is a plan, right? But I tell you, we did have a plan, and we did take a chance. So after 10 years, it's really neat to be back here to be able to thank some of the people that contributed to that and kind of took that chance with me back then. So first off, to South College leadership, man, I just have to say thank you for partnering. Brad, you're still here. Thank you for partnering with Evidence in Motion back then. Thank you for taking a chance on an untested program model. South College put a long leash on us, or gave us a long leash, I should say. And I will tell you, they just put a whole lot of trust and confidence in our abilities. You allowed us to build something new from the ground up. You supported us through all those headaches that we had, all those challenges that we had. And I wish Dr. Hall was still here, because I tell you, the biggest of all of them was accreditation. And I remember the long hours working with her and trying to work through the mountains of documentation that CAPT required, or seemed to require, just about every turn that we made. It was just amazing. But at South College, I will tell you, they didn't just give us an opportunity here. They rolled up their sleeves and they really innovated along with us. I cannot remember or recall a single incident where, as a program director, I went to South College and said, we need X, Y, or Z, and they didn't deliver. Everything we requested was approved. And I will tell you that that's a living testament to the commitment that South College had in this program. And I will tell you, Brad, that made all the difference in the world to the faculty, the students, and the entire program. So thank you. To our inaugural and early faculty, some of you are here, right? Many of you are online. Thank you for being here. Man, what can I say, right? You left behind stable faculty positions in some cases. You left behind thriving clinical practices in others. All to basically jump headfirst into an educational model that's never been done before, that was never tested. And I will tell you, you took that risk anyway. And you, faculty, are really the ones that led the disruption in DPT education. Together, we learned how to fit 3 years of education into 2. That's a higher ed equivalent of folding a fitted sheet, right? It can be done, but nobody knows how, right?
And it's not gonna look pretty.
And it's not gonna look pretty.
Especially at first.
And it didn't look pretty. But I will tell you, we figured out what really mattered for entry-level education to prepare students for entry-level clinical practice. We pioneered hybrid teaching before it was cool, or frankly, before it was understood, right? And we learned often the hard way, and I will tell you at student expense, how students learn best in this fast-paced accelerated model. And of course, Tim mentioned it, we can't forget lab immersions. Crown Plaza Hotel, the Bridgewater Event Center, in the early days, I see a lot of head nods here, right? We learned there, first, students don't like to stay in hotel rooms. They can figure it out themselves. And it was only after I blocked countless rooms and only 7 students stayed in the hotel that I found that out. And of course, not long after, Crown Plaza kicked us out because we weren't meeting occupancy rates. Right? We also learned that students and faculty, frankly, cannot sustain long hours of after lab practice until midnight every night. Right? And I still remember Tim and his infinite wisdom walking up to me one day, Mike, I think we need to put an end to this. His way of saying, knock that shit off. Excuse me. Anyway, you get the gist, right? And then, frankly, though, and most importantly, we did learn just how important those lab immersions were, right? For skill development, for student learning, for culture building within the program, and ultimately for professional development. They were then, and they continue to be, the secret sauce of this program. To our early cohorts of students, inaugural cohort especially, but I will tell you the first probably 2 to 3 went through similar pains. You were the brave ones, right? You took a chance on us, on frankly, a new program, a new model, a new faculty. But I will also say, you took a chance on an unproven track record for a program. You became our track record. And students still are the track record of South College DPT education. You showed patience when we learned how to teach and support students in this model. You showed resilience in the face of a grueling curriculum, long hours, few breaks, and to be perfectly honest, a lot of bonehead ideas from me and all the rest of the faculty. Through it all, you also showed unity, working together, lifting each other up, and ultimately proving to everyone watching this program that this model not only works, it thrives. You proved all those doubters wrong. You didn't just graduate, you paved the way for every student that was to follow in this program and now all those other 2-year hybrid accelerated programs across. And finally, to all the faculty, students, past and present, that I have not had the opportunity to work with. Thank you for your dedication, your hard work, and the heart that you poured into this program. I will tell you that it's through that this program has continued to grow in countless ways. You look at the expansion that's occurring in now in Atlanta, in Nashville, and future sites across the country for South College. But perhaps most importantly, you look at the brand and the legacy that has been created and is now recognizable as South College Physical Therapy Education. So with that, as we reflect here, my parting thoughts. This program began with a chance, and with all chances, bold idea, bold chance, with all these bold chances, right? It comes with risk. But I will tell you also that those bold chances also come with boundless opportunities, discoveries, and successes, all of which South College has been through and enjoyed. The road wasn't always smooth. We made a lot of mistakes. We had to course correct frequently, right? but we never stopped believing in what was possible. I think that's ultimately what's important. So here's to taking chances. Here's to jumping when all the answers aren't known. Here's to building while we're still flying. Here's to failing fast, but fixing even faster. And ultimately, here's to proving over and over and over again that innovation in education is not only possible, it's essential. So thank you all for making this chance worth taking.
I didn't have a pen and I needed to write that down there at the end, so I'm definitely gonna need a copy of that. Yeah, we say frequently here that we're laying down the tracks and the train is inches behind us, right, as we're laying it down. So I kind of can, that resonates what you said there. So thank you, Dr. Walker. The next person I'd like to introduce is Dr. Christina O'Day, the Dean of the Graduate Health Professions. Dr. O'Day began here at South College DPT in Knoxville on the Knoxville campus, but quickly transitioned to the role of Program Director for the Atlanta campus. Most recently, she was named Dean of the Graduate Health Professions. Dr. O'Day has played and continues to play a pivotal role in the expansion of our DPT program to other campuses. And I'm really delighted that you could come and join us in person. So thanks for being here.
Thank you, Dr. Seal. I'm actually very honored to be here. Very excited to be here. And I can say that in Atlanta, what we talk about is flying a plane while you're trying to tape the wings on. That's how it feels for us there. So I want to talk about some of the origin story of South College DPT, but really the expansion of South College DPT. The Knoxville program here was built on what you're hearing right now. It was built on academic excellence, innovation, and specifically student-centered learning, right? So we're not saying it outright, but I'm going to say it. That is the tenet of South College, right? That's student-centered learning. So a little bit about my origin story. Dr. Tim Notaboom actually interviewed me back in 2020 in the midst of the pandemic, right? And back then, right, again, hybrid education was not cool, right? But all of a sudden, everybody had to do it. And the really interesting thing about South College is no one was panicked. Why? Because you already were doing it. Not only were you doing it, but you were doing it right. And it was pretty amazing. So Dr. Tim Notaboom took a chance on me, a young girl from Chicago. I wasn't a young girl, still not a young girl, but a little girl from Chicago. And if anybody knows Tim Notaboom and Christina O'Day, right? Like when we met in lab, it was quite the stark difference there. But he took a chance on me. I am a PT that was a first generation college student. I was a first generation graduate student, and I was the first generation of my entire family to get a doctoral degree. I am a Puerto Rican person from Chicago. So if you know anything about Puerto Ricans in Chicago, it's a big family. So when I say the first, that's a lot of people that came before me. But that's the magic of South College, right? South College takes a chance and they provide opportunities to students and faculty who perhaps wouldn't have gotten an opportunity prior to that. That's the magic. The naysayers about hybrid education suddenly got thrust into having to do it during that pandemic, right? When Dr. Notaboom took that chance. My very first lab, just a few months into starting, I actually shadowed Dr. Seal. I was like, can I watch your lab? She's like, sure. And I really wanted to see what it was all about. And the really interesting thing about that particular lab, I have to move, sorry. I'm really short, so I can't see what's happening over there. So I'm going to come off to the side. Being in traditional DPT education for 10 years, right? You go into lab, and I was almost always, practicing, not reading. Please get up, right? Like that is, you're pulling students, trying to get them to actively engage. When I came to that very first lab in March of 2021, I was absolutely amazed. Now this was quarter 3 It was students in Clondero, as a matter of fact, and the entire day, 8 to 5. I didn't see one student sitting down. They were up, they were practicing, they were engaged. The faculty were demonstrating, they were moving around, giving feedback. And I just sat there like, this is really interesting. And I was one of those naysayers. I had been in traditional DPT education for 10 years. And I was like, I need to see what this is all about. Well, here I am many years later. Tim Notaboom again tapped on my shoulder and said, expansion. Well, if anybody remembers that first meeting in April of 2021, where Tim Notaboom, announced that we were going to be expanding to the Atlanta campus, that didn't go so hot. It certainly wasn't what we expected. And just like siblings, right? We had some shenanigans that was happening, and I'm pretty sure our shenanigans, and if we had a chat, Dr. Notaboom could confirm, but I'm pretty sure our shenanigans pushed him into early retirement. Pretty sure. But I don't know that he's ever confirmed that. Well, again, one of the things that South College is really good at is supporting the faculty, supporting the students, ensuring that growth happens in a way that is you failing forward, right? Like, you're going to fail and it's okay, but you keep going. So we have Atlanta, we have Nashville, we have Orlando and Dallas on their way. We have 1,000 graduates right now from the Knoxville program. In just a few short years, we're going to have 2,000 graduates from South College DPT. And what do our DPT students know how to do? They know how to innovate. They know how to be leaders. They know how to be active. They know how to be advocates for themselves and for the field. And so I'm just really proud of being here, part of the journey, and I'm excited about the future. In particular, I'm very excited about the future of South College, Knoxville DPT in the hands of Dr. Seal. I think she's got your best interests, and she's got a vision for what she wants to see this program to continue to flourish and innovate. So thank you for inviting me, and I'm excited to see where you go.
Thanks for those very kind words. I want to say thanks to all of our speakers. I'd really love now to hear from folks on Zoom. I see there on the screen that Dr. Notaboom is present. I know there are other current and past faculty present. So if you're on Zoom and you would like to share a few words, we have some time for that. Please just raise your hand and we'll have you unmiked. I may be able to unmic yourself and turn on your camera, but if not, Sean can help us with that. All right, Dr. Notaboom has the floor.
Well, since Dr. O'Day invoked my name, I thought I would at least pop on and say congratulations to all the current faculty and students who are there carrying on the wonderful tradition that everyone has spoken so eloquently to. I miss South College and the actions, and activity around it all the time. But there's probably a little bit of truth to Dr. O'Day's comment that a combination of COVID and all the stress that put a lot of people under, and then the expansion to the other campuses, it was a lot. But I do want to just make just a couple really quick comments. I remember when Mike Walker had decided to leave and start what really was our first sister school at Baylor University. He in Mike fashion gave very clear instructions not to mess it up. All the hard work that they had put in to make the program launch in those first 2 years. So this was in 2017. And, I think, again, with faculty support, students on board, we were able to take steps and grow the program beyond what it was in those early stages. We, had to really work hard to, bump up pass rates and just refined a curriculum that had all of the bases and foundations that were needed, but maybe just a little bit of refinement. And I'm glad we could um, add that to the legacy of the Knoxville program. But as I was getting closer to the end of my time, Dr. Flynn mentioned that there was a lot of pushback on us, especially, people directing the accrediting body to, to not allow this kind of model to exist. Well, that resurfaced again just a couple years ago when there was a chance that if an amendment was approved, that there would be a minimum requirement for the length of a DPT program that was longer than what South's 2-year model is. It essentially, if that would have been successful, that would have kind of ended this 2-year model. And I remember putting out a call to all of the alumni who and say, we need your comments. We need you to send comments to CAPTE saying why this program changed you. And we received nearly 100 responses from students that said, I added my voice to the list of those against that amendment. And that's when I knew that this program had graduates who were making a difference, who would fight for what they felt was the right thing to do. And all you do try to do in these new approaches is build something that will sustain. And when you build that and you know that you can leave and it's going to continue to do just fine, in fact, even thrive. And so, I decided to make my exit and spend more time with my family. But again, congratulations to everyone. And it's so fun to follow what South College DPT is achieving each and every day. So congratulations, everyone.
So Tim, I can definitely confirm that we are sustaining. I don't know if we have the ability to switch the camera to the audience, but we have 5 adjunct faculty sitting right out here in front of me who are all graduates of our program. And I think we had about that many in the first 2 courses of this lab, and we'll have some more coming in the next courses of this lab. So we continue to increase our numbers of adjunct faculty, and that's happening in each one of our labs. So that's amazing, and I think that is definitely one of the sustaining points that we talk about. Anyone else from Zoom that wants a chance to weigh in and share your thoughts? Hey, Smith.
Just wanted to say congratulations to everyone, and it was so exciting to see all there after 10 years. Thinking back, reflecting on everything, what a program we had with such visionary leadership and just a cohesive initial faculty that just persevered through some tough times, but we supported each other and kept going with courage and some confidence and humility. And so I just wish you all the best for the next 10 years and beyond. And thanks for having this. It was just really fun to see everything and get to hear from everybody.
Thank you so much, Jeannie. You need to come out to Knoxville and see our campus, because I don't think you ever saw the new campus. I have to tell y'all, when I came on in 2017, I was petrified. I was so scared the first time I came for lab immersion. And I think Jeannie Smith might have been the first person I met. She was the DCE in the original faculty group. And I think she was the first person I met when I came to campus. And I probably just latched onto her like a leech. I was just like, somebody that can tell me what I need to do and how I'm supposed to be doing it. And I feel like you were definitely a savior for me in those moments. And then I also latched on to Mike Jones. I don't know if Mike made it onto the meeting. He had another meeting at the same time, but he also became my go-to person. It's scary. It's scary for you all starting this program. It's scary for us as faculty when we start this program too, because it's so different than what most people have done in their academic career. I don't know if we have anyone else. Sean, do you see anyone with hands raised on your end? Dr. Fondren.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. Hello, everyone. I just wanted to come to the mic and say congratulations to everyone and all of their hard work. I kind of feel like a South College baby being in one of those, the second cohort for South College, and then adjuncting and now core faculty at the Atlanta campus. So Dr. O'Day mentioned something when she spoke about South College taking chances. And I feel like South College definitely took a chance with me, not once, but twice, letting me come back and teach for our students. So I just want to say thank you to everyone. This is an amazing community to be a part of. And I'm so happy to hear familiar names and see familiar faces that are still around.
Thank you so much for sharing. Appreciate that. Yeah, so for those who may not know, Dr. Fondren is full-time faculty in Atlanta. And as she said, she was in the second cohort with Dr. Leaf down here. Yeah, so. All right, anyone else? Don't want to leave anyone out that wants to say something. I don't want to be the person standing between anybody and cupcakes. But I think it's been a great way to spend an evening reflecting on our past, celebrating our present, and looking forward to our future. And when I think about the folks that we've named and celebrated tonight, some of who you've met on stage, some you've met on Zoom, some you've heard about, the creators, the innovators, the founding faculty and staff, the courageous students who took a chance on us and continue to take chances on us, I'm really inspired. And I'm further inspired by all the folks who continue to drive our program forward. We are by no means where we need to be. We are continually striving. To paraphrase something I heard Scott Ward, who's the past president of APTA, say at a meeting recently, none of us are excellent, but we are all on our way to becoming excellent. And I would say that sums up our program. The journey of this DPT program reminds me of Roosevelt's Daring Greatly quote. Some people know it as the man in the arena. I tend to go with Brene Brown and call it the Daring Greatly quote. I think it really accurately depicts our collective courage and our willingness to continue to fight and engage. So I'll leave you with that. It's not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes up short again and again because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. Don't think any of the folks who started our program could be described as cold or timid souls. I don't think the faculty who continue pushing our program forward and the administration who pushes our program forward, I don't think they can be described as cold or timid souls either. So I'd like to just say thanks for all of you who continue to stand shoulder to shoulder in the arena and for continuing to dare greatly. On behalf of our students, our profession, and on behalf of a world who desperately needs excellent healthcare. Thanks to all of you for being here. Please stay for the reception. Get a cupcake, get 5 or 6 cupcakes maybe, or fruit. Enjoy, hang out, or fruit. Sorry, that was more where my mind went. Stay and enjoy a little conversation if you have time. Thank you for being here. Good night.